and welcome to Starside Chat. Joining me is Mr. Aaron Capo.
Hello.
Hey, and I'm Zach Owens, and we do this podcast thing we do once a week. It's true. And has been a lot of news, a lot of stuff going on because we're getting close to E3. So there's all kinds of news popping up, but there's also like other types of news. But anyway, how was your weekend?
It was good. I went to a wildlife park and I took some pictures of some buffaloes, which was pretty cool.
Oh, really? What wildlife park?
It is just outside of Peoria. I think it's called Prairie something Park. It's like a trail that you go through, and there's like a bear and some goats and some horses, but the horses have a sign next to them that say, "Don't touch, horses bite." So I could not touch the horses, but I did get to see a bunch of buffaloes up close. It reminded me of Far Cry 5.
Oh, yeah? Well, you famously love animals.
I love animals. I love to pet animals. It was great. Unfortunately, I did not get to pet any animals. It was a little rainy, so they were all in their little houses. So it was still nice to see them.
Well, I did nothing nearly so fun. I did absolutely nothing that I can recall. It was more than a day away at this point, so I definitely don't remember what happened.
Play any games?
I think I marathoned The Expanse again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, well, so that's kind of our first news story.
Yes,
only
number
because
one with a bullet.
I put it there. But, yeah, so I think like last week, maybe the week before, Sci-Fi decided to like not renew The Expanse. So they were canceling the show, but it's a unique situation because Sci-Fi doesn't make the show. They only own the rights to air it on television, like the broadcast rights.
Mm-hmm.
So the company that makes the show, Alcon, was like, well, for sure, we're going to try to shop this somewhere and like get somebody else to pick it up because it's a successful show in terms of like the critic ratings of the show and also just in terms of streaming and like digital sales is doing pretty well. The weird situation with it is that Sci-Fi apparently only had the rights to air the show. And so they were only seeing numbers based on whether you were watching it live or you had like DVR'd it and watched it within the first 3 days of the episode airing. So they were not seeing anything from like the digital streaming of the episode. And as it turns out, this is like a good use case scenario for why the old television model is dying out and like it's all about digital streaming these days. And like those cable networks that don't have like a streaming option are kind of not doing great. But yeah, so apparently the show does really well digitally. And so it's on Amazon Prime, and that's how a lot of people watch it.
I didn't know that.
I watched this stream where one of the actors was talking about it. And of course, the actors and crew have been like all over social media trying to get people to like support the show and actually finally tune in live. And they said their fans were all saying that, yeah, it's the type of show that we would much rather watch, like binge watch. We want to watch multiple episodes at a time or like wait till the season ends and then watch the whole thing at once. And they're like, you can't do that with this show. You're killing it off. But the interesting thing is once Sci-Fi said they were going to cancel it, like all the fans joined together and like there's been this hashtag Save the Expanse campaign going on Twitter. And the most likely place to pick up the show was Amazon Prime. So the fans actually did like a GoFundMe, which they met their goal in like an hour or two. And then they paid to have a plane fly a banner that said Save the Expanse around like the Amazon campus in LA for like 5 hours.
Oh my God.
And we can only assume that Jeff Bezos didn't know that the show had been canceled because apparently he's a huge fan of the book series that the show is based on. Like evidently, whenever he is at one of those conferences where he's like showing off like a new Kindle, the image on the Kindle is always like Leviathan Wakes, like the first book in the series.
Oh, nice.
So he apparently loves the book series and was livid when the rights went to like NBC Universal or Sci-Fi or what, I don't know who like the parent company is, but to actually broadcast the show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he apparently really likes the book series and wants to get the rights. So it's not a done deal, but the show is looking like it could get picked up by Amazon if they're able to pull all the right strings and work out the deals to make it happen. So if
that's great.
If you're a fan of the show like I am, there's light at the end of the tunnel, I think. And so, yeah, I basically, in order to help like support the digital numbers so that Amazon would see that it might be a good idea to pick up that show, I went back and just rewatched it because the first 2 seasons are up on Amazon Prime.
How many episodes per season?
I think there's like 10 on the first season and like 13 on the second. And then they're like, I don't know, I want to say like 6 episodes in on season 3.
Oh, I didn't realize season 3 had not concluded yet.
Yeah, they're not even done with it yet.
Wow.
So anyway, it's a good show. You should watch it if you haven't yet. And there's a very good chance that it's going to be on Amazon Prime for season 4.
Is there a way to easily put Amazon Prime on my TV if I only have a Chromecast?
No. Unfortunately, Amazon is a competitor of Google's, so they have chosen to not only like for a long time have they refused to like sell stuff like Chromecast on Amazon.com, but they also have refused to make it so that their software plays nicely with like Android powered things. I mean, it only just recently was possible to get the Android Prime video app on Android mobile devices.
Yeah.
And there is now an Amazon Prime app on the NVIDIA Shield TV player. So it's like they support Android TV, I guess, now, but you can't Chromecast it, which is a shame because I think that's how a lot of people do it.
Yeah, I guess I could cast the tab on my actual computer.
Yeah, or if you just have like an HDMI cable from your laptop.
Yeah, I could do that too. Anyway, moving on to other news.
Some sad news.
Is it sad, though? We played this Radical Heights game, and I remember being furious as we were wrapping up at how bad it was.
Yeah, there's video proof that you were not too happy with the game.
Boss Key Productions has shut down.
Yes.
Cliff Bleszinski.
The guy
Cliffy B.
behind Lawbreakers, and before that, was it Gears of War?
Yeah, that's his big thing. That's like what got him on talk shows and stuff, is he made Gears of War, which people are into, but I find to be not super fun. I had like Halo back in the day. I was not really like a cover-based shooter kind of guy, but if you love cover-based shooters, it was like the dawn of them, and everyone was super into it.
I do like cover-based shooters, and I thought Gears of War was fine as far as those go, but I didn't... Like, there were other ones out there at the time that were, like, the mechanics were fairly similar. So I don't know that I would say it necessarily, like, invented the third-person cover-based shooter the way a lot of people credit that game for doing. But maybe it popularized it because Gears of War was, like, a pretty huge deal back on the 360.
What was, what would you say is the first thing that invented it?
I'm not sure. I feel like I played it a lot in like Ghost Recon games, but I don't remember how far back. Maybe the first Gears was like predates some of that. I'm not sure exactly, but
yeah, I don't know.
But
I never had an original Xbox.
Well, maybe I'm incorrectly speculating that I had played some cover-based shooters that were similar before that, but I remember playing it and being like, oh, why are people crazy about this cover system? Because this feels fairly standard to me, but maybe I was misremembering.
Anyway, Radical Heights is no more, probably for better and not worse. Who knows what Cliffy B is going to do next?
Well, I think he like put a statement out on Twitter. He wants to like take some time off, but like,
Yeah.
so as we know, Lawbreakers failed miserably. It did not work at all, and Radical Heights was basically a response to that. Like, very quickly realizing that they were not going to make it if they didn't get something that would bring in cash really quickly. So, of course, they decided to try to cash in on the Battle Royale thing.
Very quickly realized as well, it was developed like in a crazy crunch, wasn't it? Within like 4 or 5 months or something like that?
Yeah, it was a very short development time before they decided to throw it up on Steam for free, but that did not work out too well for them.
It did not.
Sad news because people lost their jobs, I think, is the only thing I would say. I don't really particularly care about the studio or any of the games they produced, but it is sad that people ended up losing their jobs. So,
speaking of people losing jobs, is the PS4 going to lose its job, Zach? What's this article? I haven't seen this.
So it's the latest news story that I'm having trouble not getting to play in Google Chrome right now. But apparently, news has come out where Sony, their boss, John Codera, I think is how you say his name, has officially stated that the PlayStation 4 is entering the end of its life cycle. But I mean, you know, how long could that take? Like, I feel like this is stuff we already knew. Like, we already knew that, because there were leaks a long time ago that we talked about on this show where PlayStation 5 was like maybe 2 years out. So I feel like...
Yeah, 2 years sounds fine to me.
I feel like we knew this.
Yeah.
But yeah, they say it's entering the end of its life cycle. And I think that has more to do with the fact that it's just not selling the way it used to, which makes sense.
At some point you reach market saturation.
Yeah, that's why I say I think it makes sense. It's sold enough, and also it's getting to be pretty old at this point.
I think I remember reading an article where maybe it was that Andrew House guy was talking about how the PS4 is entering into its what's referred to as the harvest stage of a console, where basically the seeds have been sown, you're approaching market saturation, so you pull back on like hardware development sort of, and you start ramping up software development, because now you don't have to necessarily sell the PS4. Now you're selling games for the PS4, I think is what was the article was describing. So I guess that makes sense. They're sort of like, the eyes are on the future, as they say.
Yeah, well, and they did say that they still expect to have like strong sales numbers in the next year. So it's not like they're bleeding money or anything. They're just saying that obviously over time, sales will start going down and that the life cycle is coming to a close. But I think the last line of the article says that the next PlayStation console is not expected to be released until 2020 or later, which I think is what we were saying on the podcast that we did reacting to that news about the PlayStation 5. So
what could the PS5 be? I know that we've already talked about this, but like just better graphics, or what could it be?
I don't know. Well, because they also talked a little bit about how PSVR is not quite doing as well as they were hoping it to.
Oh, really? That's surprising to me. You know, there's that Bridge Crew, that Star Trek Bridge Crew is getting a DLC, I think this month or maybe next month, where they're putting next generation DLC in. So you can't, instead of playing in like the Abrams universe or whatever, now you can play in like a TNG setting, which sounds very cool. And I think only PS4 is getting it for the first couple of months.
Yeah, that did look really cool. I feel like if you had a PSVR, you would definitely get that Bridge Crew game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it mostly, not just the PSVR isn't necessarily hitting quite the numbers that they were hoping for with it, but also like they have that PS View service, which is like a digital TV thing. And there's like a whole bunch of competition in that space now. So
yeah,
there maybe some of those services aren't quite taking off the way they wanted them to, but obviously the PS4 did very, very well. So
oh yeah.
Anyway, speaking of PlayStation 4, though, there has been a new... What is the word I'm looking for? It wouldn't be the podcast if a word didn't fall directly out of my head as I was trying to say a sentence with it. But so Scuff has made the officially licensed, that's what I was looking for, officially licensed PS4 controller. Scuff is a very popular brand of like controllers for consoles. And they make the ones that have like all the extra like paddles and buttons and customizable, so you can like change the joysticks and all of that. So it's very popular, but I think the interesting thing is that Xbox has Microsoft made the Xbox One Elite controller that is very much like that has like the extra customizable buttons and everything. It was sort of like the premium, like pro gamers Xbox controller.
Yeah, I've coveted one of those for a long time for like PC stuff.
Yeah, and Sony has not made one of those for the PS4. This is kind of the closest thing you're going to get to that. So I guess if Sony's not going to make it themselves, and gamers are turning to Scuff anyway, might as well just have a officially licensed Scuff controller for the PS4.
Zach, did you happen to see the price of this?
Yeah, that's why I have never actually bought a Scuff controller before.
It's $170 for a wired version.
Yeah, they are not cheap. And that is why even though I've wanted one, I have never bought one. And I think if you actually go on like Scuff's website, you can trick it out and customize it to your liking, like the color of it, the buttons and all, like the entire layout of it. You can do a lot of customizing with it. And obviously the more customizing you do, the more expensive it gets. So that controller could be incredibly expensive. Like you could buy a high-end like gaming keyboard for less than the amount
A console that already has a Pro controller, the Switch Pro controller. The Switch, there's a new Mario Tennis coming out, is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure you nailed that segue, but I see what you were going for.
100%. I did it right.
Yes. So there is a Mario Tennis Aces demo coming May 24th. So that's
I thought this was some sort of tennis driving game because you have written in the show notes Tennis Avenues demo.
That's just a typo. It's supposed to say Aces, although tennis driving sounds like a really interesting concept.
Yeah, that's something we should check out. But yeah, are you interested in this? I don't really like sports games.
I loved Mario Tennis back on the N64, and I am totally down to play this game on the Switch. Like, I've been looking forward to it. It's among the games, like the Mario universe games, that I was anticipating as soon as the Switch came out. Like, you always have like the Mario Karts, the Mario Tennises, and like the Mario Parties and all of that. And for me, tennis is right up there with Mario Kart. Maybe not quite as high as Mario Kart, but I always enjoy them. I think they're a lot of fun to play, even though I don't care about tennis in any way, shape, or form otherwise. But yeah, I think it'll be fun to check out. And that's like in a couple days. Like, it's later this week.
Do you think it'll have support for the motion controls? Like, do you think you'll be able to bat the Joy-Cons around as tennis rackets?
I was curious about that, so I guess I'll just wait and find out. Maybe I'll try to record some gameplay, although Nintendo is usually pretty strict about its properties being used on like YouTube, so I don't know. I'll definitely check it out, and then I can like give you a full report next time we do a podcast.
Please do, because I am not going to play that. But we mentioned it earlier on. E3 is fast approaching, and we have some slight E3 news and also some game delay news. Yeah,
so there have been like a list of games that have been delayed until spring of next year or even later. And there's some of the bigger ones, like that Skull and Bones game that we were talking about around the time Sea of Thieves came out. Apparently, I think that was supposed to come out this fall. And it is basically supposed to be a Sea of Thieves competitor for Ubisoft. That's a little bit more like the Assassin's Creed pirate game. But it's like one of those shared world universes or whatever. And we saw very little of it at E3 last year. I would expect we're going to see more of it this year, but we're not going to get the game this year. So that's been pushed back to as far out as 2020 even. So they're, I guess, going to take a lot more time with this.
Do you think they saw Sea of Thieves and were like, oh no, people hate this, so they had to redo their game?
Maybe. I don't know. That could have been the case. I feel like there's always a lot of negativity surrounding a lot of these like shared world games that people almost never get them right out of the gate. And so maybe they're trying to like double down on it and make it a lot better and so that they don't have this outcry as soon as it launches. Like Anthem was also pushed back to 2019, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was originally supposed to come out, I think even last year. Maybe not last year. I don't know. It was like it's been pushed back a lot of times. And we were expecting it, I think, at some point this year, but yeah, they pushed it back to spring 2019. So yeah, that's two of the big like shared world games that are not going to come out this year. So a little less competition for Destiny, I guess. But but another game that was pushed back to Q1 2019, Metro Exodus. Did you play the first or any of the Metro games?
I played one of them right when I got my new PC. I was like, I want to get something that's really going to test it out. And so I bought one of the Metro games. I don't remember which. And it was fine. I didn't beat it. It was somewhat too generic for me. I think people are really into the story, and I just like could not get into it. So I ended up just like, I probably played like 20 or 30% of it and then stopped and uninstalled it. But this is fine. This does not really excite me. The demo, this is one of the maybe 2 or 3 E3s ago. They showed like a really long demo of a couple of sequences of this, and it looked fine. It was whatever, but it's not on my must play list.
Yeah, same for me. It was announced during E3 last year, and I thought the graphics look really good. And I've seen gameplay of the Metro games, and they always look a little bit like Fallout to me. I guess Fallout as done by Ubisoft.
Fallout without RPG
or not
elements.
Ubisoft. Like, I'm trying to think of somebody that would make a game like this, but like I know it's not an Ubisoft game, but
this is kind of like Rage in some ways.
Yeah, maybe id. Fallout as done by id. But yeah, it's not really on my radar, but it is, I guess, coming out next year. Also pushed back to next year is not officially titled, but Take-Two's highly anticipated sequel, which everyone is assuming is Borderlands 3.
Now, this is surprising to me because this was in that Walmart leak we talked about, Borderlands 3, and I assumed, as did a lot of people, that everything on that leak was stuff that was going to be pre-orderable at E3. Not at E3, but this year, basically. Like titles that were going to come out in 2018. So, like, when did they announce that this was being pushed back? Was it post the E3 or the Walmart leak?
Yeah, it was. I think this was among... like with Skull and Bones and Metro Exodus, those delays all came out like on the same day of each other, or like within the same like couple of days. And it was, after the Walmart leak.
Interesting. I'm not a big Borderlands guy, but I know that a lot of people are.
Yeah, I liked the first one. I never finished the second one, and I have not played any Borderlands since then. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what it's like, but I think it's a fun co-op experience.
Definitely playing with friends is fun.
I'm curious if they would actually turn this into one of those big open like shared world shooter type of experiences to make it more of a competitor for something like a Destiny or an Anthem or whatever else.
Division.
Yeah, the Division. But maybe that's why it's taken so long to come out and why they needed to push it back. It's not been officially announced yet, so it could be something else, but it's most likely Borderlands 3.
And finally, Shenmue 3, which I don't think anyone thought was coming out in 2018, is not coming out in 2018, it turns out.
Just confirmation, not happening this year.
This is another one where I've never really played them, but I know that people are super obsessed with them. I never had a Dreamcast, so...
Yeah, same here. I know it's a title that a lot of people love, but it's something I have no experience with.
Now, E3 news. My body is alive with E3 news. I love talking about it. Ubisoft will reveal a 2018 tentpole title at E3, and we know it's not Skull and Bones, The Crew 2, or The Division 2. What could it be?
What could it be? So is this the Assassin's Creed title that was on that Walmart leak?
Good question. I have heard rumors, rumblings, that there is going to be a Grecian Assassin's Creed. So that could be it.
You think so? Like 1 year after the last one, even though they specifically said they were going to stop doing yearly releases.
Good point. I mean, they did say they were going to take a step back and really put a lot more effort into it. I don't know, maybe it's not Assassin's Creed. I don't know what it could be. It's very exciting. Ubisoft is shaping up to be maybe the best press conference of E3 right now, because we know they're going to have Division stuff, and I'm very interested to see that. And I think I heard something else about Ubisoft, but I mean, we know Sony is just focusing on 4 games. Bethesda, it seems like, is all going to be Rage 2. Hopefully they have something else to show. Who knows what Microsoft is doing? Who knows? Who cares? Is what I say. But I'm very interested in The Division 2, and I think some other things I'm forgetting. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I am very interested to see The Division 2 as well. I'm curious to see more about Skull and Bones just because I want to have some sort of idea of what that game's going to be like. But obviously we're not going to be playing it this year, so it's, whatever. But yeah, I think The Division 2 is probably the biggest thing that they have. I'm not, I haven't played a ton of the Assassin's Creed games, so, if they announce another one, it's just going to be well, I was still waiting to play Assassin's Creed Origins, so I haven't played that yet, so I don't know how excited I would be to see another Assassin's Creed game. I thought maybe it would be like an Assassin's Creed DLC that was in the Walmart leak, so I wonder if this is something else.
I would love that. My fave thing is stuff we don't know about being announced, so I would love for a crazy reveal to happen.
Yeah. I also would love to see something new from all these different companies that they have their beloved franchises and they know they're going to do well, so they want to keep making them. But I also want them to do new stuff.
Watch Dogs 3?
I don't know if is it too soon for a Watch Dogs 3?
I don't know. Good question. It seemed like they were hinting that England was going to be the next one, which would maybe be a little interesting, but I enjoyed Watch Dogs 2 a lot, but we'll see. What have you thought about State of Decay 2, speaking of sequels?
So, yeah, that came out, I think, last week, and it has come out to mixed reviews, like a lot of Microsoft's other things that have come out. I know the 2 heavy hitters for Microsoft this year were State of Decay 2 and Sea of Thieves, and both have opened to pretty mediocre reviews. Those games will have their fans, as any game franchise does, but I have looked at them and have decided I'm out. I played the first State of Decay. I didn't finish it, or if you even can finish that game. It was one of those ticking clock games that kind of stresses me out a little bit. Where I think if you didn't pay attention to all of your group, that some of them could die, and it was like permadeath. And so there was always that ticking clock in the back of my head that I needed to go check in with all of my different outposts or whatever, my houses that I had set up, so that all the people that I had saved would still be alive, and you could level them up or even play as them. But it just felt like I was going to turn off my 360, and when I turned it on a week later, everybody was going to be dead, and I was going to be like, oh, well, I guess I'm starting over. So I just never went back to it. And from what I've seen of State of Decay 2, it's very, very buggy. And like the co-op in it, which was like the big thing for this one, everybody wanted co-op. And it's apparently a mess to play.
Oh, really?
It's very buggy and not a great experience. And everything else from it looks like you're pretty much just playing State of Decay 1. Even like the graphics are better, but otherwise it's very similar to the first one.
I'm all zombie out. So a game really has to bring something interesting to the table to get me interested in a zombie game.
Yeah.
And this seems like real ABC regular type nonsense. So
I was going to say that as well. I wasn't sure if you were still into the zombies thing or not, but I for sure have kind of been like, I've had enough of it for now. Like two of the big Sony franchises, two of the big Sony games coming up for this year are Last of Us 2 and what's Days Gone, which actually I think is coming out next year now that I think about it. But those are like two of Sony's big titles that they've been showing off over and over again. And they're like these post-apocalyptic games that I'm just like, I'm kind of like good on those for a while.
Last of Us is something I am interested in. I always meant to play the first one, and there's that remaster for PS4, and someday I will play that because I've heard the story is amazing. But
I've heard that
I would
as
play
well.
Last of Us 2.
I've heard that as well. And I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm just saying, like, I've been burnt out on, like, harsh post-apocalyptic stuff to this point. And so it's going to take a while for me to have any desire to go back to playing those again. At least with something like Fallout, it's a post-apocalyptic setting, but there's, like, sort of a quirky sense of humor about it. And there's, like, a little bit of a lightheartedness to it, so it doesn't feel quite so dour. Whereas something like The Last of Us, like they showed that trailer, that super grim trailer from E3 last year, and I was just like, I don't know if I can even take this. Like, I don't even want to watch this trailer right now. It was a little heavy. So, anyway. Fortnite, which is a thing that neither of us are really into, even though the rest of the world around us loves it and can't get enough of it.
It's crazy. Real, like, regular people that, like, I meet in my everyday life are like, hey, you playing some Fortnite last night? And it's, like, mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, well, when I was in school last semester, I would always, like, run into people that were watching people stream it, or they were, like,
it's crazy.
Playing it on their phone, or they were talking about, I can't wait to get out of class so I can go back and play that Fortnite update. And I was like, it's all around me. And I still have no desire to play it. But the news that has come out with Fortnite, or come up recently for Fortnite, is that it is coming to Android this summer. And just to show how out of the loop I am, I thought it was already on Android because there was that story about how it came out on mobile so long ago and people were playing it on mobile, and it was like cross-platform. You could play it on mobile. You could play against people on Xbox and all this. And I was like, when I saw this news, I was like, oh, I guess they did just show iPhones that whole time. So I guess it's not on Android. I didn't realize PUBG had beat them to the punch on the mobile.
It's true, yeah. They happen super fast, and they're really dragging their feet. I guess there's a lot of market saturation with iOS, so it makes sense that they targeted the iPhone first. But I don't know. This news does not affect either of us, I think.
Yeah, it was worth mentioning, I thought, because it's such a huge deal, but nothing that either of us are particularly interested in. But something that we were both fairly interested in, if you watch our video and see our impressions of it, was the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 reveal that happened last week.
Yes. Big bullet points, no campaign, but they're adding a Battle Royale mode called Blackout.
Yeah, and supposedly they are going to have story elements in all three of their game modes now. I'm not sure to what extent, but supposedly this could be really dumb and very small and not even count as story elements, but that's what they're saying.
I'm sure it'll be maybe like Titanfall or something where like every encounter begins with a small cutscene of like, we have to protect this guy or something like that. Or maybe if you like there's like logs to pick up in every level or something. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but
I feel like they tried to do that with Brink. Do you remember Brink?
Yes, it took place on like a ocean platform thing, right? And there were classes. It was only multiplayer. I think and there was like mantling, like you could climb all over a bunch of stuff. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, and it was this like cartoony art style.
Yes.
That was like, I don't remember when that was, but it was an interesting idea, and I had high hopes for it, and it ended up being terrible. But yeah, I think they claim to have story elements to their multiplayer as well, so that even though they were like, oh, there's no single player, but the multiplayer is going to be kind of like an ongoing story. But it was like, it was almost a predecessor to like something like that shared world game, but it's supposed to be like constantly multiplayer, but it's like something like Call of Duty multiplayer and not like Destiny multiplayer.
Yeah.
Either way, it didn't work out for them.
They're throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall with this game because they now have like Overwatch-esque heroes that have ultimates that they can pop, as well as it's no longer a like you get shot and you can run away and regen your health over time. Now there's a dedicated button for healing, but you can't do anything besides heal. So it's kind of like in Far Cry, you were saying, where you just kind of like jab something in your arm and you heal, but it's like a tactical thing because you have to basically be safe in order to do that because you can't be shooting.
Yeah, I was watching some gameplay of it from people that were at the reveal event, and they were saying,
"Ooh, I should do that. I didn't know that was out."
Yeah, and they were saying that actually adds something to the experience, because before, when you get into a gunfight with somebody and if you win, you have to think, well, should I stop and drop back and reload? And now you have to think, should I reload and should I regen my health? And it's on like a cooldown timer as well, so you can't just like constantly repetitively regen your health. So you have to think about it a little bit more.
I like that. And I like Overwatch-esque characters, especially because I don't think that the guns are affected. I also don't know how Call of Duty works. Is it a thing where you're constantly unlocking different guns that you can build loadouts with, or do you pick up the guns in the map?
No, you're unlocking them as you go, as you progress through the like ranking system. So it's actually, the more I've looked at this since, the more it reminds me of Destiny.
Oh, really?
It is, and like the Overwatch influences are in like the health bars being like visible, and the fact that they're like segmented, and as you shoot them, the health bar kind of ticks away. That all looks very Overwatch-like. And you have like different heroes, and they have names, and they have different abilities, I guess. But they were more akin to like Destiny supers than they were Overwatch characters. Like the one guy had this ground pound that was kind of like the Titan's ability, his like smash ability. Mm-hmm. And then we were talking about the girl that had the revolver, like the gun. And we were saying that it was like McCree's High Noon, but it's actually more like the golden gun from the Hunter, where you pop.
Oh, really?
It
doesn't auto lock on?
No. So it's more like a one-shot kill, but you still have to like aim it and shoot.
And there was a Hanzo-esque style, or like Widowmaker style thing, where a guy like threw a remote device and it like made everybody be able to see through wall. Maybe not everybody, actually. Maybe just him. But you could see through walls. But unlike Overwatch, this is a thing where you get to, I guess, pick your guns, and all of the guns are like crazy customizable as well, because they reworked how guns work. So like everything's got crazy attachments, and it's got like real life physics that like affect the like pull and kick of each weapon. So it's supposed to feel, it's much more skill based, I guess, where you can get the feel of a weapon and become a pro that way.
Yeah, this is something that makes me think more of like Battlefield, because Battlefield has always, I felt, done a better job with their weapons. Like, for sure, their sound effects were always better than Call of Duty. But I always enjoyed the feel of them more. It everything sounded better, and the feel of them was so much better to me that I eventually switched away from Call of Duty to Battlefield. And so this is just another one of the elements that feels like they're sort of borrowing from other shooters. And from what I've seen, they do like sound and feel like they would be a lot more satisfying than they've been in the past.
I am interested. I'm definitely going to go check out, after we get done recording, some gameplay footage, and because I'm very interested to see. The last Call of Duty game I've played was like a Medal of like World War II type thing, like the storming of Normandy and stuff like that. I've not played a current one. I've especially not played a Black Ops one. So I think the thing I'm most interested in, the thing that will probably maybe get me to buy this, depending on how it shapes up, is the Battle Royale mode, which is called Blackout.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see what that ends up looking like, but there's definitely no footage of that yet.
No, hopefully at E3, but it's got to be, like, the thing they were showing, it was this kind of like wireframe. They were going through like big set pieces from previous games, or like things that happened in previous games, and then it all zoomed out, and it seems to me as if the Battle Royale map is some sort of amalgamation of a bunch of multiplayer maps somehow put into one thing. I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm not quite sure what they were going for with that reveal, because they kept saying like named people, like, remember when you were with like Jack Dawson and you did those remote cars? Remember when you were on that giant helicopter with Scorpio? I don't know anything about Call of Duty, but it seems to me that like somehow I'm not really sure what it's going to be, and I'm very interested to see, because also it's a battle royale, but it has planes, or at least helicopters, which is very interesting to me, and I think is a game changer.
Well, I don't think we saw any planes. I'm not sure if they actually have planes to this or not, but
they said land, air, and sea vehicles,
which to me says helicopter, but there could be planes, or it could just be like some sort of kill streak reward, which I'm wondering if those will carry over. Because you almost need, like, they were saying how this is going to be like the Call of Duty Battle Royale. They didn't want to do Battle Royale if they couldn't make it feel like Call of Duty.
Yes.
So I feel like you have to keep your bread and butter, the thing that makes it like multiplayer feel like Call of Duty, in there. So you almost have to have kill streaks, but I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see. Also, if like will your create, like, a thing about Battle Royale is that you have to loot. So is it a thing where like all of your progress that you've accrued does not exist in the Battle Royale mode?
Yeah, I'm not sure. These are questions that we'll, I'm sure, find out at some point, either E3 or after that. But I'm very curious about it, but I almost don't think it is going to be what we're thinking it is. It was so vague what they were saying during that reveal that you and I think came away with some very different thoughts from what we expected the Battle Royale mode to be. Like, when they were naming off characters and all these like scenes that you went through with them in past Black Ops games, I assumed that it was because these were skins that you were going to unlock in crates that you could play as. And yeah, you thought it was going to be like specific set pieces that they were going to somehow put together into one giant map. And that might be what happens, but I don't know how you would do it. But I definitely didn't get that from what they were saying during the reveal event. But I think it was so open to interpretation that you're probably not the only one that thought that. So I have no idea what to expect.
Zach, what if I told you I don't care about Call of Duty, I care about Battlefield?
I would have agreed with you until I saw this last reveal. I'm very interested in what they've done with Black Ops 4, but I'm also very interested in what you're about to tell me.
It's not on our show notes, but on Wednesday, maybe it's Thursday, there's going to be a reveal for the new Battlefield game, Battlefield 5.
I am significantly more hyped for that than I was the Call of Duty reveal, because like I said, I started out playing a lot of Call of Duty, and then I eventually got burnt out on that series and switched over to Battlefield. And I really played Battlefield up until Battlefield 1. And I liked that game. I just didn't get to play very much of it. So I am definitely interested to see what they're going to show off and how it's going to be different, and if there's going to be a Battle Royale mode in it.
Yes. Now, a couple of things. Based on the 30-second Twitter video of like the announcement, it seems as though it is still set in the past. Possibly a World War II setting.
Yeah, I want to say the speculation was that it was going to return to World War II.
Is that interesting to you? A return to old times?
Yeah, I think it could still be good. I mean, I would prefer it to be modern, but I get why people are getting burnt out on that, because there's been so many of them and they've started to really go over the top in unsatisfying ways. I think the switch back to World War I did them a lot of good and actually brought a lot of people in. Like, I think people who were even fed up with Call of Duty switched over to Battlefield just because it was something that felt like a real breath of fresh air. It was something that people hadn't played in a long time. So I feel like Call of Duty, well, not Call of Duty, but Battlefield is going to go back to World War I and II until they burn that out again, and then they have to go modern again.
Yeah. Well, I think that World War II maybe lends itself better to a Battle Royale type thing.
Oh, that's true. There was like the airborne divisions.
There's airborne divisions, and you don't have to deal with like weird gadgets or anything. Like PUBG could be set in World War II if not for some modern weaponry. But I mean, they already have the giant maps. Like, it's basically, they probably would not have to do a lot to add a Battle Royale mode, which is why I think we're definitely going to see them announce that at the announcement.
Yeah, I definitely thought between the two, between Call of Duty and Battlefield, the Battlefield was way more likely to do that, specifically because they are known for having really large maps. They're known for having vehicles, both or all types of vehicles, you know, like air, sea, and land vehicles. Mm-hmm. They're known for destruction. They're known for having like a ton of people in the map. Like, I don't remember the max number of people that can play, but like they have significantly larger matches in terms of players on the same map than Call of Duty. Call of Duty is known, like, Call of Duty's thing is the exact opposite of Battle Royale. They're known for small maps. They're known for like 12 players max. Like, maybe you can go up to like 16 to 18, but like smaller numbers of people and smaller maps and just like really quick, fast arcadey action. And Battle Royale is big spread out maps and slower action and, you know, vehicles, and this is all stuff that was never in a Call of Duty before. So I was sure that between the two, Battlefield would be the one to do it, but Call of Duty is doing it as well. So it might happen for both.
We will see. This year is the battle of the Battle Royales, it seems like. Or that's if they announce it, which I'm sure they will.
So if that does end up happening, who loses?
It'll depend on player retention, I guess. I mean, whatever, like a thing that has made Battle Royale so popular and enticing is that it is immensely enjoyable to watch on Twitch. Like, it is that gameplay loop of going from 100 people to one. And if you can find someone who's good at the game, it's very enjoyable, intense often to watch people play it. So I think it will depend on Twitch adoption and just like a breadth of player base. So we may not know until Christmas what has won, or we might know in like week one, like, oh, this isn't crazy buggy and not good, so let's do the other thing. But I don't know. I think like Twitch will play a heavy role.
That's probably true. Although I will say, I think I know I'm in the minority, and there are other people that are with me, because I read a lot of comments about like the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 reveal, and a lot of people were, and this gets into one of the other points that I wanted to talk about, but like, I don't super love Battle Royale, to be honest. Like, I can enjoy it for what it is every once in a while, but it's not the kind of thing that I really would want to return to very often, because I prefer that like faster action. Like I want to jump into it. The thing that was great about Call of Duty in the past, and the reason why it was so addicting, was because you could jump in, play like a 5 to 10 minute round and rack up like 15 or 20 kills, and then you were done. And you earned things for doing that, and you would unlock stuff, and it would make you want to go play again and play another round. With Battle Royale, you can play a match for like 20 to 30 minutes and never see anyone. And then after you've taken all that time to like slowly gear up, you're shot in the head by a sniper you never saw, and it's game over, and you earn nothing for that, and you have to start completely over. And so I have never loved Battle Royale modes, but I get why people like them, or why they're into them. There is that sort of interesting, tense element to them that you were talking about. But I don't know. I still wonder if Battle Royale might be a fad that is like, this is the year for that, and we're eventually going to hit like, maybe because of these bigger games like Call of Duty and Battlefield also dipping their toes into the Battle Royale thing, maybe we'll eventually reach like peak Battle Royale, and then it'll just start dying out, and it'll not necessarily be as popular as it was before. I don't know.
I think the thing, you're not accruing items or like any sort of experience, but the thing you're accruing when you play Battle Royale games is skill. Like that's why watching people play it is so good, is because it takes a lot. It's high skill, high reward, basically. There is no reward, but the reward is like winning, basically. I think it's the same reason people watch like professional baseball or basketball. It's like you want to see peak athletes at their prime.
Well, that's why Twitch is popular, because people enjoy watching people who are good at something. But like as far as the game itself goes, like why people want to keep playing it over and over again, because you get that satisfaction of winning and accruing skill from any game. I guess I don't really get why playing and losing 30 rounds of PUBG is more entertaining than playing and losing and winning some like 30 rounds of Call of Duty. But at the end of those, you've unlocked a bunch of stuff.
You just sound like a sore loser.
I mean, yeah, but like, give me some stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I want a game to value my time, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to, that's why I don't like we've talked about this before, about how I don't really like roguelikes, because it feels like you can play them for a long time and die, and then you have to start completely over. And I never finish those games. It never happens, because I play them for like a half hour to an hour, and then I have to start over. I'm like, well, I'm not doing that all over again. I'm just not going to do it. So that's kind of, I guess I have similar feelings about Battle Royale, but maybe Call of Duty or Battlefield will change my mind on it. Maybe they'll come up with a unique way of approaching it that will make me love it. Because I love Overwatch, and you're not like unlocking weapons and things like that in Overwatch, but for whatever reason, the play style of that game appeals to me so much more. I think it is that faster pace, and that you can play it more often, and it doesn't feel like there's so many lulls between the action, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, we'll see about Battlefield. Maybe tomorrow. I am very excited to watch it, but I will say there was also sort of a little bit of a controversy around Call of Duty. Like, this wasn't like a thing that major like gaming news networks were picking up. This was mainly in like comments and responses, like video reactions to Call of Duty Black Ops 4 that I saw. And it had to do with the fact that they are dropping the single player component of the game and tacking on like what is essentially, as far as we know, just another multiplayer game mode, and the game is still $60.
Because, like, what if I said, okay, well, Battlefield is going to get shown off tomorrow, and they're going to say, sorry, guys, no campaign this time, but we added Capture the Flag, still $60. Like, would you feel
but Battle Royale, I think, is a different can of worms than...
I mean, I agree with you. I'm just, like, trying to put it into a context that will make sense of this argument. Because I still think Call of Duty is worth $60.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But, like, this is the argument that's being put out there.
So they definitely don't have a campaign?
Well, Call of Duty definitely does not. I don't know about Battlefield. I thought you were talking about Battlefield. I was just making an example of why people are talking about Call of Duty this way.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, something we didn't talk about is that it's launching with 3 zombie maps, which usually I think they only launch with 2, but this one has 3. People are very into zombies. So there's regular multiplayer, there's the zombie story missions, and then there's Battle Royale. So you're getting 3 things. It's basically $20 per game.
Yeah. Well, it just depends on, like, how much you play single player versus multiplayer. Because there are some people that don't necessarily love multiplayer stuff, but they do enjoy playing Call of Duty single player stuff. Like, they enjoyed playing the campaigns and, like, the different stories, especially with the Black Ops series, because the Black Ops series actually had more interesting stories going on than some of the other Call of Duty games. But I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Like, for years, I wanted them to drop the single player component and just sell only multiplayer for like $30 to $40. But now they have zombies, and they are going to add Battle Royale. So
we shall see. Have you been watching or playing anything?
Other than binging The Expanse, which we already talked about, not really. I guess I played some more Overwatch, which we can mention. Starting today is the Overwatch anniversary event. And
oh, yeah, you were talking about that.
Yeah, so, like, everything's available. If you ever missed one of the events and you were like, man, will I ever be able to get that skin? Well, you can right now. You can log in and you'll get a free loot box for the anniversary, and it's, like, guaranteed, I think, 2 of the skins, or 2, like, what are they, legendary items, I guess, is what they call them.
Perps.
No, I think they're gold.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, I'm not sure how their system works, but anyway, you can get some cool stuff, and they have, like, all the old game modes coming back. Like, I was playing Lucio Ball earlier today, which is normally something that only happens in the summer event, but and it's going to switch or change up, I think, every day and every week during the course of the event. So I want to play some of the other cooperative game modes. I want some of those to come back, because I think there's some that I have not played before, and I always really enjoy those. But yeah, it's super cool. They have a lot of new skins. They have some new emotes and stuff. And it's going to be free this weekend. You can play
so there's no reason not to check it out.
They're doing a free weekend, so definitely jump in and try it out if you haven't played it before.
Yes, definitely.
What about you? Have you been watching or playing anything?
Not really. I spent most of this weekend just kind of chilling out. I went to that animal park I told you, but other than that, I just kind of hung out this weekend. But look forward to, we'll be covering the Battlefield event. It's either tomorrow or Thursday. I have to look, but whatever day that happens, look for a video from us later that evening where we will do some analysis.
Yeah, we will do a reaction video similar to the one we did for Call of Duty Black Ops.
Then maybe we'll even do a video where we compare the two.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Also, what's coming out later this week is that Detroit Become Human game on PS4.
Oh, yeah.
That game is coming out the 25th. I don't know what day that is.
That's Friday.
It's coming out Friday.
I don't think either of us are going to have time to play that this weekend.
Yeah, I definitely won't. I'm going to be out of town this weekend, so.
And I am working a bunch of stuff this weekend. But maybe next week. And I think that about wraps it up this week.
As far as I know, that's all the news there was.
Take us out, Zach.
Follow us on Twitter at I believe it's Starside Cafe. I don't know what our Twitter handle is
sure
anymore.
it is, yeah.
And email us. We're very interested in your feedback and your questions and thoughts and any topics of discussion you might have. So send us an email at starsidecafe@gmail.com.
Yes.
You can also, I guess, follow us individually on Twitter as well.
I don't tweet, but you can totally do that if you want.
I've been doing it more lately. I'm just ZT Owens.
ZT Owens.
Not Zatoans, as so many people on like other online places have mispronounced it. It's a first initial, middle initial. Not Zatoans.
What's your middle name?
It is Thomas.
Wow.
What's your middle name?
It is also Thomas.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, that's true. It is William. Wouldn't that be crazy, though, if we had the same thing?
And we had, like, never told each other up until now?
That would be insane. That's like how I think I know someone who is left-handed, and I'm left-handed, and we constantly are realizing that we're both left-handed.
You know, it's me. I think you did that on purpose.
Is it?
Yes. Because this happens, like, every other month.
Did you know that I'm left-handed?
Yeah. I remember. I was going to bring it up. I was going to be like, this is like how you and I always forget that we're both left-handed. And every time one of us sees the other person write something, we're like, wait, you're left-handed? I'm left-handed.
Just like Albert Einstein.
And like all the creative people watch any movie, and when the person starts writing, check what hand it is. If it's left hand, it's because they're a creative type.
Well, that's it. So we'll see you later, everybody.
Also, we should mention the podcast, if you've been watching it on YouTube, is also up on pretty much all the major podcast things. I took care of all of that last week, I think.
I forgot.
So yeah, it's
Sub to us.
Give us a rating. Give us 5 stars, even if you don't think it's worth 5 stars. Just give it to us, and then write something nice. So we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play Music, which is probably going to change soon, but for now it's Google Play Music.
Oh no, you're so sad.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. We're also on Pocket Casts and Podbean. You can just search for us and the right thing will probably come up. It's Starside Chat, in case you forgot.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's not cafe, it's chat for the podcast.
Yes. So anyway, look us up, sub to the podcast, and give us a rating. And like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. That's it. See you.
Goodbye.
See you next week. Goodbye.